Here in St. Vincent, our ecosystem majors in trees and vines particularly. By going the ecological route, we are not just benefiting ourselves in terms of producing more healthy food, but we're also benefiting all the other creatures and all the other beings around us, because ecological farming takes into account all the other life that's around us and trying to integrate with that and produce with them instead of trying to destroy them so we can produce for ourselves.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Williams.
My name is Laurel Hamilton.
My name is Leeward.
I am Kenneth Edwards, better known as Vincent.
Well, my name is Lyndon Stevens. I'm from Chateaubriand. Back in the days, like maybe in the 80s and 90s, garden used to be part of our culture. But recently, the younger generation, I think, refrained from involving in gardening and farming.
Our farmers down here, I noticed in recent times, they carry all their produce to the capital, Kingston. So we in the rural areas, we have to go there to get them.
St. Vincent, we are a country that more based on import than what we actually grow here. So that's one of the major problems.
I'll buy the local, but you still have to be skeptical of what you are buying because of the chemicals in the products.
I don't think there's a lot of organic farmers in St. Vincent.
The diabetes, killing out a lot of people, and the cancer.
Because of people based so much on import and they are so much into canned food and processed food, there's a high rate of diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol.
You have diabetes, you have hypertension. So those are some of the chronic diseases that we have. Like sugar, pressure, and all them stuff there.
Hypertension and diabetes, yeah. These days I find a lot of people are coming down with stroke and the heart problem.
Especially the young people, I think they like a lot of imported food.
Back in the past, people more inject time and effort into gardening. The younger generation now prefer not to garden because they like things that is there at hand. You know, so people prefer imports.
Because I go with friends, and even sometimes we go and pick the tomatoes. You see, like some sprays on them, because they have to keep away flies and other insects.
Once you know what you grow and you eat what you grow, it would be better for you because we don't use fertilizer or chemicals in the garden.
People like the easier way out. People use pesticide, herbicide. You know, they don't really use the natural organic stuff on their garden.
Well, you know, like I travel, and then when I go like England or America, I get in the supermarket where you have organic, and I noticed that they are more expensive. So you know, I was finding out what is this organic, and then after the information get here, I was interested.
Not knowing how to prepare organic garden are one of the most difficult part because, for instance, I myself did not know how to prepare an organic garden before RVA come in existence.
So they become healthier with the greens.
For your health, it's the best thing to do.
To a matter of fact, it's me alone, so I will satisfy. I can't eat all.
The garden starts with the planning. It can be done almost anywhere you have a free piece of land. If you have the opportunity to choose where to make your garden, think about this. What you plan to grow there. If you plan to grow plants which requires a lot of sun, choose a sunny area. If you plan to grow plants which needs more shade, pick more shady area. If you do not have a choice, work with what you have, but plan what you're gonna grow there accordingly. Also, pruning trees for more light or planting them for more shade is a good option. How much time can you spend in the garden daily? If you are not planning to spend much time in the garden, don't plan it big. Water source. Your garden will require watering every day, so plan your garden next to a water source or have in mind that you'll have to install one close by to make your life easier. Possible problems in the garden, like pollution, flooding of the area, chickens, and others. If you think some of them will be significant problems and it cannot be avoided, plan your garden elsewhere or get ready to be very creative. Plan the beds to be the size you can easily reach without resting on your beds. It is very important not to put any weight on your beds so you do not compact the soil. Maximize the bed to part ratio, but don't make it too big and uncomfortable to reach. Use banana strings and sticks to mark the beds. If your land is flat, you can make any shape you wish. Use your imagination to make the most comfortable bed shapes. If your land is on a steep area, use a frame to find your land contour. Make the beds by the following contour of your land. In this way, you need to dig less soil to shape your beds. Loosening the soil is important for the plant roots to spread wide under and absorb moisture with nutrients. Usually, soil is compact and it is not good for growing your veggies. Soil needs air to breathe, so it is important to loosen it. It is necessary to loosen the soil for better water circulation under the ground. Do not flip the soil. Turning the soil exposes and damages microorganisms. Benefits of building swales. It allows better water absorption, protects soil from erosion. That means it does not allow to wash out the minerals from the topsoil. Allows you to control the water overflow. Dig the forced swale behind the top bed. Dig connecting drainage path with the swales in the lower points. The top swale needs to be deepest. Assess the amount of water you expect. If you expect a lot of water, make the top swale around 2 feet deep. It will absorb the most of the water. The lower points of the swale don't need to be that deep. Make sure that the swales are leveled and the water does not run to one side or pool somewhere. When guiding the water out of your garden or to the reservoir, find the best way to direct the drainage path in the space you design. For example, don't make the drainage go through the middle of your property, while it can go close to the fence. Beds are for long term, so they should be designed for efficiency and ease of use. Benefits of raised beds: prevent soil compacting, provide good drainage, serve as barrier for snails, slugs, and other pests. Slides keep beds from washing away during heavy rain. Easier to walk because you don't have to bend that much. They look nicer. Dig the pathways and swales all around your beds and use the duck soil to raise your beds. If you wish to raise the beds even more, add soil, compost, or organic matter from elsewhere till you reach the desired height. Make size of the bed of any available material like bamboo, lumber, bricks, and other. When you raise the bed in sloped areas, you have to consider how much water is going to run down your beds from above. Make the pathways deeper to keep your garden from overflowing and for full comfort. If the area is steep, you can make the bed so high that you do not even need to bend to walk there. The most important is the top swale. It will take in the most of the water. Make sure you make drainage for the water to run down and connect them to other pathways. Bamboo is a free material available with just a little effort. It is perfect for shaping your beds as you can get them very long and make them size you need. It is organic material, so after a few months, when it decomposes, the nutrients from the bamboo will go into the soil. If bamboo is not easily accessible in your area, you may use any other material available to shape your beds. It is extremely important that when you make your beds, you level the soil. Leveled soil makes the water on the bed sink in where it is. If the soil is not leveled, the water will pool in lower places and these parts will get too much water, while other parts of the bed will get too little. The lasagna bed is a method of organic farming that does not require the soil to be cultivated. It consists of building the soil in layers with different materials that in turn will be decomposed little by little, and the plants will take the necessary nutrients from their development. The different layers in a lasagna bed. Manure. High in nitrogen, which is critical for microorganisms to break down carbon-based materials. As the soil absorbs manure, nutrients are released. This enriches the soil, which in turn helps the plants. The most important benefit of using manure in the garden is its ability to condition the soil. For example, mixing manure with sandy soils helps to retain moisture levels. Adding manure to compacted soil helps loosen the soil. Manure produces increased soil carbon, which is an important source of energy that makes nutrients available to plants. Other benefits of manure include reduced runoff and leaching of nitrates in the soil. Cardboard is high in carbon and it must be combined with nitrogen materials. For example, manure for effective decomposition. Prevent grass and weeds from growing. A good way to eliminate unwanted vegetation or turn a lawn into a garden. Holds moisture. In a short time, about 5 to 6 months, the weeds and the cardboard decompose and feed the soil with organic matter. Mulch. The mulch consists of covering the ground with a layer of organic material to isolate it and protect it. It must be at least 3 to 4 inches thick. Try to combine grasses and legumes in your mulch. Reduces evaporation and retain humidity accumulated during the rains. Temperature regulator. Avoid sudden changes between heat and cold. Prevents soil erosion. Porous structure allows rain infiltration and prevents runoff. Prevents need for tilling. Keeps the veggies clean. Host to microfauna. Reduces the risk of diseases. What can be used as mulch? Grass cutting, Gliricidia, vetiver grass, lemongrass, lucina, banana body and leaves. Never use as mulch: French weed, elephant grass, allelopathic plants such as mango. There are many ways to build a seed nursery. You can use any materials that are available at low or no cost. Here's just one example how to do it using a piece of scrap galvanized, saw to cut the Gliricidia, nails, metal scissors, cutlass, pliers, some wire, hammer, and some net for shade if you are going to install a seed nursery table in full sun. Net also protects from rain dropping and damaging your seedlings. 4 Gliricidia poles. Keep in mind that if you dig them in the right way, it will grow and provide mulch in the future. Make 4-inch long cuts, 4 inches from each side. Flatten the galvanized and bend the sides to form a container. Use a nail and a hammer to make the holes on the connecting parts. Fasten those sides with a wire. Make holes in the container to let the excess water out. Dig the holes and install Gliricidia poles. Nail the table at the height that is comfortable for you. Use the wood to connect the Gliricidia poles and to hold the table. Add net on top if needed. Add compost or soil. If you only use soil, add some manure. Depending on the plant species, some must be sown in the seed nursery and others can be sown directly on the soil. The size of the seed defines the size of the hole where it would be planted. The size of the seed defines how many seeds should be planted in each hole. Here is a list of all the species you can sow in the seed nursery. Here is a list of all the species you can sow directly in the lasagna bed. When the plants are around 4 inches tall, transplant your baby greens in the lasagna bed. Most people like fresh fruits. They are a good snack and a perfect source of vitamins and other valuable nutrients. So plant them. They require very little maintenance, and if you plant enough varieties, you'll be able to get fresh fruits from your garden all year long. Sad fact: 31% of women in St. Vincent are obese, and the number has been steadily rising in the past 40 years. In comparison, 16% of the men are obese in St. Vincent, but the number of obese men has been rising twice as fast as women for the past 40 years. The top 3 leading causes of death in St. Vincent: ischemic heart disease, diabetes, and stroke are caused or at least highly influenced by the unhealthy diet. So keep yourself and your family healthy. Grab a fruit. Having a compost in your property can be a really good way to get rid of your organic food waste and feed your soil with huge amount of nutrients. Organic food waste in your compost rots and becomes a perfect food for your soil, which transforms to healthy food for you and your family. Finding a right place in your property is a crucial moment before starting to dig the hole for your compost with banana circle around. Shady place is more suitable for better rotting process. The place also must not be swamped in water. The pit size should be around 1 meter deep and 1 meter wide. The soil which you dig out should be used for a circle around the pit. Bananas should be planted around the pit too. Their bodies are really good for feeding the soil with moisture and nutrients. Collecting free rainwater is a great way to save money. Your plants will need water every day, and water costs, unless you save the rainwater and store it for later use. Install a water collection system as close to your garden as possible to make watering plants easier. If your garden is in a sloped area, install a water collection in the highest point. You will be able to use free gravity power to water the plants with a hose. Keep chickens out of your garden. If you have any wastewater running through your garden, make sure you guide it out so it does not contaminate your beds. Make your garden comfortable. You are going to spend some time in it, so build steps or other things to make moving and walking in your garden easier.
There's a lot of health benefits when it comes to organic gardening. St. Vincent have one of the highest rates of cancer in this part of the Caribbean. And I believe it's because of the overuse of pesticide, herbicide, and the chemical that they use to grow the fruit to keep away diseases. So I believe organic farming and organic matter and components it is much better to use than the actual pesticide and herbicide.
Food is central to our lives. We don't go a day without thinking multiple times about food, what we're going to eat, how we're going to eat it, where we're going to eat it, and so on. So I think really food has to be at the heart of the solution, because it's the critical thing for all of us. So the more we realize that eating healthy food will make us live longer, we won't probably get the diseases and so on that we would get if we have a chemical food diet and a lifestyle that leads to that. There's the environmental push and there's the health push, and I think that the health push is the biggest push right now because it affects people like directly. The environmental degradation and pollution doesn't seem to have such an impact because people are not feeling it right now immediately, but they will feel it more and more as time goes by, but it's going to take longer to really impact upon them. When we have a healthy soil, soil that has a deep soil organic matter layer, one of the main things, and this is especially important in terms of climate change, and we've been experiencing weather that has been quite extreme in terms of the floods and the hurricanes and this extreme weather, and it's said to be linked to climate change. So we'll have periods of drought and we'll have periods where it rains very heavily. So the beautiful thing about these systems is the soil organic matter helps to balance either of these conditions. Whether it's too dry or it's too wet, the soil organic matter helps because it acts like a sponge. So it holds water when it's dry, and when it's really wet, it helps to absorb lots of water. So what happens is if you don't have the soil organic matter and the water falls on the soil, it quickly compacts it, and then it starts to run off. And when it starts to run, especially on our steep slopes, this is when you get a build-up of runoff, and this will collect together and form huge amounts of water, which can create a tremendous damage.
It's also help with the help exercise, because you go there, you weed, and you know you have like now I have to water in the morning and in the evening, so I have to carry the bucket up from there down there. So it's exercise for me. I get the heart a little.
They taste better, right? And one of the reasons they taste better is because when we feed a plant with chemical fertilizer, it's soluble. So when the water comes, it breaks down and it becomes soluble in the soil, and the plants take it up directly. Now normally, when plants develop in an ecological system, the way they develop is to build relationships. So from their roots, they send out chemical signals to the bacteria and the fungi to say, I'm here, come, and I can give you food to eat and you can benefit me. So they establish relationships throughout the soil. They establish relationships with the mycorrhiza, which is the fungi, the threads of fungi, and that can extend their ability to draw in nutrients from places which their roots couldn't normally reach. So there are all these synergistic relationships within a natural system which help to produce not just healthier food, but also, from my experience, much better tasting food. And it's because of these relationships that I believe we get the better taste and quality than if we just feed soluble fertilizers to plants. Yeah, obviously, you know, when you grow your own stuff, obviously it's going to take time to develop a system, but fruits and vegetables these days are very expensive, so a lot of people don't put the money out for them because, you know, it's expensive. So we tend to go into the supermarket, and if we can buy imported rice, you know, that might be full of chemicals, or imported lentils or imported meat, they might be cheaper because the countries in which they're produced are subsidizing the production of them, and then they're shipping them here, so our local market can't compete with it. So you have the situation in which, you know, this imported stuff is actually, the price of it isn't real because it's being subsidized by, say, American taxpayers or European taxpayers. So when you have a limited amount of disposable income and you have to feed a family, if you go to the greens market in Kingstown, you're not going to get organic, but you'll still get greens. But a lot of people find it too expensive because the greens are very expensive. So obviously if you're able to grow them in your backyard, you can eat an abundance of them, whilst at the same time not having to spend the money, you know, which is a huge factor, totally.
You know, I think that it can also help condition the mind. As the plants bloom, the individual grew and bloom with the plant, because when you see something is growing, it brings some sort of vibes and happiness to you.
I mean, for myself, when I'm in my garden, it's a form of meditation. You know, it brings peace to me. When I'm there, I'm in the garden. I don't see it as hard work. It's a connection, and I'm getting a vibration off of the nature, which is enriching me.
It is a good idea to do garden in the backyard. It's not a hard thing to do it. That's easy.
In the future, we have to go there. Because if we notice chemical destroying everybody, destroying our planet and everything, so it's good for our people to know more. As I would have said before, we are lacking information. So I trust and pray that people would do research to find out and see the benefits that they would get from the organic farming.
I would totally encourage people to get their hands into the earth, reconnect with nature, you know, because I think that the future of humanity relies on us being able to reconnect with nature. You know, and this can be in small ways at first, but understanding where our food comes from and how it's produced would be a major step in terms of moving to a closer relationship with nature. I would encourage them to, you know, venture forth and start small, start really small. Because if you try to start too big, it may overwhelm you and you may be put off. But if you start small, then you just build on your successes.